Jawaharlal Nehru was an Indian anti-colonial nationalist, secular humanist, social democrat and author who was a central figure in India during the middle of the 20th century. Nehru was a principal leader of the Indian nationalist movement in the 1930s and 1940s. Jawaharlal Nehru helped lead India to independence, which ended the British Raj. As India's first Prime Minister, he worked to make India an important member of the international community. Nehru is known for his utmost care, love and affection for children, the biggest reason why kids call him Chacha Nehru. Another reason is Nehru's closeness with Mahatma Gandhi, who considered him as his elder brother. Born November 14, 1889, Prayagraj. Died May 27, 1964, New Delhi. I am a socialist not because I think it is a perfect system, but half a loaf is better than no bread. The other systems have been tried and found wanting. Let this one be tried, if for nothing else, for the novelty of the thing. Vivekananda. For only they can sense life who stand often on the verge of it, only they whose lives are not governed by the fear of death. I was taught by a great man, never to hate, and never to fear. She was like some ancient palimpsest on which layer upon layer of thought and reverie had been inscribed, and yet no succeeding layer had completely hidden or erased what had been written previously. Life is too complicated and, as far as we can understand it in our present state of knowledge, too illogical, for it to be confined within the four corners of a fixed doctrine. We talk of high philosophies and our ancient greatness but act in narrow grooves and show intolerance to our neighbor. These are basic questions for us to keep in mind, for our future depends on the answer that we give to them. Whatever happens in Pakistan, quite clearly our task in India is clear. We must pursue with even greater determination than in the past our efforts at forming a secular state in which men of all communities can walk with their heads high. If communism offends against a widespread national feeling, it will not be accepted. Learning and knowledge make people think, and doubt and questioning are difficult companions for faith to have. Never do anything in secret or anything that you would wish to hide, for the desire to hide anything means that you are afraid, and fear is a bad thing and unworthy of you. Be brave, and all the rest follows. Fear builds its phantoms which are more fearsome than fear itself. As Schopenhauer says, a man can do what he will, but not will as he will. Democracy and socialism are means to an end, not the end itself. Success often comes to those who dare to act. It seldom goes to the timid who are ever afraid of the consequences. No country or people who are slaves to dogma and dogmatic mentality can progress, and unhappily our country and people have become extraordinarily dogmatic and little-minded. There is only one thing that remains to us that cannot be taken away: to act with courage and dignity and to stick to the ideals that have given meaning to life. But that is not the politician's way. Failure comes only when we forget our ideals and objectives and principles. We live in a wonderful world that is full of beauty, charm and adventure. There is no end to the adventures we can have if only we seek them with our eyes open. Facts are facts and will not disappear on account of your likes. There is nothing more horrifying than stupidity in action. A language is something infinitely greater than grammar and philology. It is the poetic testament of the genius of a race and a culture, and the living embodiment of the thoughts and fancies that have mounted them. Life is like a game of cards. The hand that is dealt you is determinism, the way you play it is free will. The policy of being too cautious is the greatest risk of all. Evil unchecked grows, evil tolerated poisons the whole system. The forces in a capitalist society, if left unchecked, tend to make the rich richer and the poor poorer. It is science alone that can solve the problems of hunger and poverty, of insanitation and illiteracy, of superstition and deadening custom and tradition, of vast resources running to waste, or a rich country inhabited by starving people. Who indeed could afford to ignore science today? At every turn we have to seek its aid. The future belongs to science and those who make friends with science. Culture is the widening of the mind and of the spirit. Politics and religion are obsolete. The time has come for science and spirituality. Without that passionate urge, there is a gradual losing out of hope and vitality, a settling down on lower levels of existence, a slow merging into non-existence. We become prisoners of the past and some part of its ability sticks to us. The best and noblest gifts of humanity cannot be the monopoly of a particular race or country. Its scope may not be limited, nor may it be regarded as the miser's hoard buried underground. If any person raises his hand to strike down another on the ground of religion, I shall fight him till the last breath of my life, both as the head of the government and from the outside. Loyal and efficient work in a great cause, even though it may not be immediately recognized, ultimately bears fruit. There is no end to the adventures that we can have if only we seek them with our eyes open. A moment comes, which comes but rarely in history, when we step out from the old to the new, when an age ends, and when the soul of a nation, long suppressed, finds utterance. Time is not measured by the passing of years but by what one does, what one feels, and what one achieves. But, after all, no safeguards are adequate, unless the will to give effect to them fully is present. Nationalism is essentially a group memory of past achievements, traditions, and experiences. Whatever gods there be, there is something godlike in man, as there is also something of the devil in him. And yet fear builds its phantoms which are more fearsome than reality itself, and reality, when calmly analyzed and its consequences willingly accepted, loses much of its terror. Our desires seek out supporting reasons and tend to ignore facts and arguments that do not fit in with them. A leader or a man of action in a crisis almost always acts subconsciously and then thinks of the reasons for his action. Culture is the widening of the mind and of the spirit. There is no end to the adventures that we can have if only we seek them with our eyes open. But the ideal is terribly difficult to grasp or to hold.